really important to tell people again and to be straight with people. Like I tried to be straight with people doing the masterclasses last year. I'm not going to talk to your mum and dad. I'm not going to. This is not about that environment. This is about the environment that you want to create.
Yeah, it's such an important time.
You know, and I think just the idea that research can take you to Africa, can take you to India. And normally people think of these things in terms of hard science most of the time because they're, you know, going out to research something. But realistically, all of those things become a process of research.
Right, exactly, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, completely. I really heard that there was more than 100 different types of tofu in China. I'm a vegetarian.
Wow, yeah.
And so when Little was a baby, we went to China for 4 months and just travelled. And it differs from region to region. We just travelled around eating tofu, and like she was 10 months old, so she's just starting on solids. And so that was 4 months, and my research was my seed for something else. And you know, it's similar to we're here in France, but there's surely over 100 different types of cheeses, like in the local supermarket on the corner. And it's, I don't know, there's something there. There's a connection there. Between China, between tofu and cheese, and it'll join up to something else. There's a couple of seeds there for some harvest in years to come, but it's there, and it was worth it. And I wouldn't change. You know, I wouldn't change listening and experiencing and just being a student of the world, especially writers and the process of. Building on that seed or getting to that seed or accessing that place, because I think at different points in our lives we can feel like there's a blockage to that place, and I think a lot of people go through this, and writers definitely go through it, and I've gone through it numerous times. It's called writer's block. But I think some people, especially artistic people, can be inclined to use drugs or alcohol as an avenue, to get through the blockage and to access that place. Florence Welsh, a young singer from London, I saw an interview with her recently, and she talked about how she loves to write music with a hangover, and I know that feeling. And for a few years I did the same thing. I loved writing with that little tinge of a hangover because I was thin-skinned enough and I was just sad enough that I could function beautifully, so I thought, but I could drop below the skin and really I could reach down and put my fingers into that place and reach for that seed and have access to that sort of level of emotion. And I think this is a dangerous sort of little habit to work with. Just as I said, it's important to take the opportunity to work if there's noise outside, if you're in the middle of a house full of like brothers and siblings running around and there's so much distraction. It's important to learn to steady the pen, to stay centered, to find that truth and that seed and to work through the process and get the work done sober or straight, you know, without having to use a crutch, because that crutch can easily like turn the doorknob, open the door to a flood of completely losing your mind, of being addicted, of losing any opportunity that you might have created for yourself previously. So that's really important. It's just important to be able to work under circumstances with outside influences, but to not poison your mind and your clear insight is so important as well. So I wrote down, how do you know what you were looking to discover, what you were looking for? The imaginative arousal that makes you begin working in the first place on a particular topic or an avenue. Once aroused, your imagination is on a search. You need to believe that it has been aroused by something real, and that something is bigger, much bigger than the perplexing fragment you start out with in your imagination, waiting to be found, and the whole thing dug out like a dinosaur bone. Stephen King said, The writer's job is to get as much of each one out of the ground as intact as possible. Sometimes it's a small fossil, a seashell, sometimes it's enormous T-Rex. Either way, the techniques of excavation remain the same.
I think it's really